Okay, so I'm talking with Helen and Theo of Wild AI, and we're talking about a topic that's kind of not covered a lot. What's the elevator pitch of Wild AI?
So at Wild AI, we are empowering women. We are unleashing the beast in female athletes. So the issue is that female athletes have been training and eating like men forever. I've been doing 100 kilometers running races, half Ironman, ice swimming, but very much training similar to a man, but in smaller. And in the sports industry, but also in the medical industry, females have been ignored actually. So our data being noisy has not been analyzed, and that's a big issue because we are very different than men. Not 25% of the time when we have our periods, but actually 100% of the time. The way we digest, the way we absorb nutrients, our joint flexibility changes all the time. Not understanding that means that we are fighting against our bodies instead of understanding the power of our cycles. And in a nutshell, that's what we do with Wild AI. We are understanding what is your race objective, and we provide you a personalized and adaptive recommendations on how to get there with an AI coach.
Okay, so how did you identify this problem?
Yeah. So personally, I've been doing a lot of sports all my life. So 100 kilometers running races, half Ironman, ice swimming, and the team also are a mix of amateur and professional athletes. And I've been training a lot and drinking and eating as much as my male counterparts, and specifically in those sports is quite men-oriented. So I was drinking a whole Gatorade when I was swimming, or a lot of gels, and it didn't really work for me. So, and I couldn't understand why my resting heart rate was higher or lower depending on the day, whereas my male counterparts were flat. So they could train every day the same way, and for me it was different, but I couldn't understand the reason. And talking with other females and coaches and doctors, we realized that actually there is a real difference, and we didn't know that.
Okay, so that's the problem you identified. Just basically based on your own athleticism and your own performance, that's what you kind of realized, oh my goodness, I've been doing this wrong. And so then you decided to pursue this and like build a company around that. How did that all evolve?
Well, initially it was interestingly we were considering all male and females. The very interesting thing with athletes and female athletes is that we are very receptive to trying to understand what works and doesn't work for us in our bodies, because we have symptoms. Much more than a man who would be 35 years old, because we, depending on the day, the digestion is different. The way we solve that today is we're taking pills. So we take pills to solve digestion, we take pills to solve stomachache, headaches, but the reality is that if we understand the reason, you can change your behavior and solve it. And I'm gluten intolerant, and by reducing or stopping completely the amount of gluten I take, I started realizing that other nutrition also had different impacts on me. And so from there, from my personal experience, and then from understanding what people in the medical world, people who are used to understand a huge amount of data sets in AI, and my personal experience, background in maths and helping companies work with AI as well, understood that we actually have all the tools today, all the data today, to be able to understand a body well, but we don't already. So that's what we take the data that we have from wearables, daily questions. Later we'll go more in depth with more data. We are pre-lab now, and then we'll go lab level, so microbiome, blood tests and things like that, and help you understand what is that and how can you behave differently, so not to get sick basically.
Okay, and so how does the product actually look?
So right now we are beta. And the way it works is, first you arrive on the platform, we ask you questions, we try to understand you, so where you are, who you are, so your cycles, your nutrition, your past injuries, for instance. I just broke my rib. And then we understand what is your goal, your race. Then from there, we provide you a plan that you can adapt. And then on a daily basis, we ask questions around your sleep, your stress level, your digestion. And if you want to reschedule the plan, it adapts automatically to you, making sure you are reaching your objective. So it's an app and has a chatbot inside that talks to you like a human coach would do. So he would ask you on a daily basis how you feel, and if you don't feel well, or if data tells us you don't feel well, we would readapt as a human coach would do.
Okay. And then who is your target audience? Like, is it athletes? Is it just people who love athletics, or just anyone?
So specifically now we start with a laser focus on the 1.5 million female triathletes in the US. Okay. The reason is that they are engaged, they have a race there, so they have a goal to work toward. It's important. They also are very receptive. They have problematics, which is how do I train, how do I eat, so we are solving that. And hence they are receptive to recommendations, and they have data. So they would have a wearable, they would be on Strava, and they race. So that's the first target population, and down the line is the 300 million female runners, cyclists and swimmers.
In terms of competitive analysis, who's out there who's similar in the same category? What's the competition like, and how are you different? What's unique about Wild AI?
So in the world of where we are, which is sports data, if you look at the data generation, so the data gathering, there's a lot of people. So from wearables, sports wearables, fitness wearables, and it's growing. You have like connected gyms indoors now, Peloton, things like that. So this is like all of data gathering. Then you have data visualization. How do you look at it differently? Some people do things really, really well there. So Strava is a very good example. They take the data from Garmin and they render it. But then the issue today is what do you do with the data actually? So they are from yesterday to today, and we are from today to tomorrow. You have a goal, what do you do to get there? And in that world today, if you want to train, you have human coaches that analyze data, which is expensive, not scalable, or you have solutions for professionals, such as Sparta Science, Kitman Labs. They're doing things really well, but it's for the pro world. They have more type of data sets, and we are accessible for the engaged amateur, and we would go upstream and downstream as well later on.
We have athletes watching right now, the triathlete women out there. Can they sign up to the beta right now? When are you launching? So tell us about this current stage.
So you can definitely sign up. It's beta. So it is a work in progress, but people who are part of the beta love it somehow. Because they are part of building it, and we talk to them a lot. So the team is constantly on call with them, and we want to create product for them. So we want to solve their issues. So definitely they can sign up. It is beta, but definitely.
You relatively recently moved to Silicon Valley. Can you talk a little bit about your experience coming to Silicon Valley? I know it's a broad question, but maybe there's something that you can sort of like a highlight.
Definitely. So we were in London. We're part of a program initially called Entrepreneur First, which is supposed to be the best deep tech incubator. Reid Hoffman is on the board. And we developed the company from there. And then we had the opportunity to come here with an investor in a program called The Refiners. The reason we came is we're consuming products in health, sports tech, and it's just massive here. And the understanding is very different. So if you look at the European but the UK markets, the reality is for that specific angle, consumer sports, it's 10 million people, it's London. It's not the UK and it's not Europe, because French people don't really speak English. And in the US, people are much more health aware of that, and it's really the US market, which is massive. That's one. And the second is that the US has a very different mindset. So it's a very do attitude. In Europe, we're very Cartesian, so analyzing all the different possibilities takes a very long time, and eventually we take one decision, whereas in the US, they praise really action, which is praising failure as well, but you have to move forward, which is great, because as an entrepreneur, that's exactly what you have to do.
Right.
So it completely changed our mindset as well, which is fantastic. And in terms of potential partnerships here is unbelievable. Investors are, everyone is cycling and swimming around, so it's a very good place to be.
I just talked to Helen about how it's like this virtual coach and it understands you So how does that work? How does it understand you?
Helen mentioned that we're focusing on triathletes, or female triathletes. And those people, they have a goal, they have like an event they want to attend, and they want to reach the goal, they want to finish a race on with a certain time, like with a certain performance. And we're trying to collect as much data as we can from you, like without intervening into your life. And throughout the day, we are building up your plan. And while you are giving us more data, we're trying to adapt to your plan to train you better for your race and trying to make you achieve your goal that you have set. So what we're doing is like every day we're asking you like, how's your digestion? How do you feel? How was your training? While we are actually getting the real-time series data, let's say from your wearables, and we'll analyze all this data in order to change your training plan. So at the beginning you set a training plan that you want to achieve that time on that specific date, and it's laid out in your calendar. And then while we get more data from you, we are just adapting it just like a human coach. So we're trying to understand you and then change your plan in order to fit to yourself, which that has a lot of relation of what I was doing before in my PhD.
Right. Well, a human coach has human intelligence. So I'm a little bit interested about how you build this artificial intelligence. Is it like, do you use other data sets, or is it just your own data sets of your own like initial batch of users?
So like every AI, the more data I get from you, the better I can model you. The good thing with us is that we have data from previous race athletes, so we can compare how close you are to them. So along with your data, we have their data as well. We can see similarities, and we can adapt so that you can achieve your best performance possible.
Okay, so I guess the plan in terms of like continuously building this AI and making it, I guess, smarter, right? The key to that is keep expanding the user base.
Expanding the user base, asking more things from you, and the user being engaged into the app to give more data from his training life, and from his digestion, from his nutrition towards us, so we can better understand the user.
Okay.
That's what we're caring about, like understand the user and adapt to his needs.
Excellent. So looking, forward maybe like a year out, what are you most excited about in terms of Wild AI and the roadmap you're on right now?
We want to be as good as a human coach to you, and certainly we want to collect more data from. We want to convert the app into a more healthy app instead of just a training plan. So we are looking forward to collect more data from yourself and become more deep into the data that we're collecting.
What are some one or two messages that you would like to leave the audience with?
One of them would be for people to join us, join the community, follow us, and have a look at what we are doing in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so the website is Wild.ai, and I think we are obviously a product, we want people to use it, but really what we're doing is really a part of the mission, a very long-term mission, which is women have been really underserved. Periods have been considered very boring, but the reality is that it's our nature, it's absolutely natural. And we need to understand that, we need to empower women, and that's a mission, but we're not going to empower women without men. So it's all of us that really have a role, and I think we're part of that global movement of empowerment of women, of getting more women to take, compulsory paternity leaves and things like that, and that's really the future. So I think we want to meet people also who are strong advocates on that and who can help support us and bring that even further.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. It was great to speak with you.
Thanks for having us.
And to the audience out there, thank you for joining today. I hope to see you next time. But before you go, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications if you haven't already. And I really look forward to seeing you next time.